It's a windy 1300 on Sunday the 31st of August. August is basically over. We have a harvest. Pears. I have a plan for them. I'm going to nip inside because it's very windy out here, obviously. Look at these pears here. They're blushing up nicely. We don't know anything about them, but we'll try harvesting some and hopefully they'll ripen. I've set the cat the task of pulling up this potato here, so we'll get our first potato harvest, hopefully. Hopefully there's some potatoes under there. I also picked a few of these Concord pears in that. Now the plan for the pears is I'm going to make sweet pickled pears using a Pan Corbin recipe out of the Pan Corbin book. Nope, and I'm just dropping things on the ground below me. So, I'm going to do one variety with ahi mangoes. That's these little round ones. Sorry. And another one with the orange drops, which are these ones, the orangier coloured, longer chilies. So they'll be slightly spiced, sweet, pickled. We've just harvested what tomatoes we can. I was hoping for more, but when I get back today, I'm going to take these boards out because I reckon we just want more sunlight in here as much as possible, and I'll start clearing a bit of the foliage because we really want to see some ripening happen a bit faster in here. So that's it. We've not had a lot of progress down the allotment the last couple of days because we went off to North Norfolk and failed to catch any sort of seafood whatsoever. But it was a nice trip. We had a nice little shepherd's hut at a posh hotel, and had a couple of days away from the house, which is nice. So yeah, that's good. And yeah, those propped up plants are looking fine down there with my little blue hats. That's good. Lots of tomato fruit in here. Blossom end rot on these Vesuvianos, unfortunately. We need to rig up a watering system. That's a goal for next year, is to have the solar watering system. Maybe something like this old hose here with some holes poked in it, if we don't want to feel like spending it on proper soaker hose, low pressure soaker hose. But yeah, these melons are looking good. I don't know if they're ripe yet, I'll give them a sniff later. But what I'm going to do is run home, get some passata cooking, and get these mangoes on, get a couple of other things because it's an hour of free excess power from Octopus Energy today. I don't quite know what that's going to translate to, but we're going to get the dishwasher on to sterilise the jars and wash them up because I've just collected up all my jars to sort of do a stock take. And we're going to get the cotton wash on with all our tea towels. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to go do that. I'll be heading off pretty soon to get that done. I'll be back down here after 3 p.m. Because it's a 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Free hour of power. And then I'm leaving Kat down here to get a couple of things done, like harvest those potatoes and see what else we can get done, or she can get done, while I'm sloping off cooking at home. I'm going to get a few things on the stove hopefully, and maybe get some tomatillos into the oven and roast some tomatillos with some onion or some shallot, and we'll make a tomatillo salsa. So yeah, it's all about using the power, preferably without tripping the main breakers. We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with that now, head home. I've got some garlic. I usually just do plain tomato passata, but I'm going to do a passata with some garlic in it and maybe some fresh basil. I'm going to grab some basil from behind me. So we've got the basil coming along down here, in here. I never got round to multiple successions of basil, so this is the basil we've got. Well, it is 20 to 5. It's very windy out there, so I've taken refuge in the greenhouse to do a little video. Got a bit carried away in the kitchen. What we're looking at here is a very collapsed bean frame. I never actually finished that properly. Never put in any real structural support for it. And, well, we got a bit of wind, and now it's just a bunch of sticks on the ground. Like I said, I got a bit carried away in the kitchen there. But we have a pot of passata ready to mill, some preserved pears in jars, some roasted tomatillos ready to make a salsa with, and I did a load of washing and sterilised all our jars, or cleaned them rather. They won't stay sterile, but sort of good to get them all in a clean and ready to use state. But yeah, so Kat's been down here doing some bits and pieces. In a moment I'll show you our first potato haul, but I'm doing the talking while I'm in the greenhouse because it is very gusty out there, and that's just going to wreak havoc. I don't want to be down here long. Kat's already been down here more than 3 hours. I'm going to try and do something about these beans, try and support them in some way, and maybe knock together that other frame, the low raised bed frame. But we'll see. Don't want to hang out too long. It's going to turn into one of those endless days otherwise. I don't want to get too wiped out. Look at this little chili down here. Nice. It's a yucky blue. Oh. But yes, anyway. Sorry, I just panned too fast. Cat will be seasick. Don't want that. Better crack on before I get too bushed. Okay, and it's now 7:15, and we're calling that home time. Did quite a bit in this polytunnel. I've done a lot of clearing out the lower layer. You may be able to spot that between the earlier footage and now. Bit of side shooting and a bit of training. So we're training the more productive vines sideways along these now. And I've pulled one across to the middle to go across there. It's the end of August, but there's still some good ripening time. I lopped the top off this decolgar. They're all, pretty much all blossom end rot. Can you see them up there? Lots of blossom end rot. We grew these last year, and it was the same problem. So that's not great. I've probably discussed them before, but that's they're not invited back. We won't be having those tomatoes again, which is a bit of a pity because they are kind of nice tomatoes. So yeah, a bit of cleaning up in here. As I mentioned earlier, I think I was down at the house for quite a while, longer than planned. That's a nice sized pear. And I pickled some pears and stuff, but yeah. And then Kat spent a lot longer down here today. It's a bit windy out here, so hopefully that won't be too bad. Just planted some radish here, a row of black Spanish at the back, and a red scented one at the front of the plot direction. Probably need some protection, otherwise the little seedlings will just not last a day when they pop up. Similar to what we've had to do over here. So, I did make that second raised bed frame in the end. It was a close call, I almost couldn't be asked, but we got there. And something has been nibbling at our beans. You can actually see there's one down there that is carked it really. So we've put a bit of netting over the top of that. Hopefully that protects them. There's also quite a bit of, it's hard to see with the camera, but there's rough ground down there. It's like something's been digging in it. Not digging like a rabbit though, more like a bird kicking dirt around. So I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully the net fixes that. I tend to blame pigeons by default for everything. So Kat pulled out one of our potato plants of potatoes. That's a good sized potato right there. So some possible tiny little holes in there. Hopefully it's okay on the inside. So we might have potato for dinner. We don't have potato very often, but I'm glad these potatoes seem to have done something useful. These were the main crops. They went in a bit late. There's another little hole there. So a few little holes in them. I wonder what's doing that. It is 7:30 on Wednesday the 3rd of September. September already. And we haven't come down here to do much today. Despite it being work from home day, I spent a fair bit of time cooking and other things. Oh, look at that. See that turned over dirt? There's signs of moles under here. One of our critter friends that likes digging up our garden. As you can see, the ground is quite wet. We've had a few days of some decent rain, some pretty heavy rain earlier today. We were wondering if it was going to stop, but it has. It's cleared. They did say it was going to clear in the evening, though it it was a lot later to clear than the forecast I saw yesterday. But yeah, it's okay. Look at this coriander down here is looking really nice. I really should get another succession of that in. I'm pretty bad at the successions. I tend to put the succession for the next thing in when the last thing has run out. And really I should get the succession in for that now. Not that I'm going to. I don't have the seeds on me. So one of the things I'm going to do today is pick some of these pears. We have had a few off the tree. We left them for a few days, as the general instructions say to do, to let them ripen up, and they were tasting really nice. These have a really rich flavour. Crunch. They were both crispy pears, really, this one and the one behind us, in front of us, further in front of us. But this was a pretty rich flavour, whereas this one here was like super sweet. It was almost like a artificial sweetness. Look at I think this pear gets bigger every time I look at it. And it's been a bit of a puzzle as to how long we leave them on these trees. But I think I'm not going to take all of them, but I'm going to take a number of the pears. Because, like I said, we had one of each off the tree, left it for about 3 or 4 days. I can't remember how many days. And it's looking good. Anyway, my last video on what was it? What day was it? Sunday. We did a bit of work in here with the tomatoes, clearing out a bit, so we get more light in. I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I got the planks down from up top, which is good. And yeah, look at that capsicum over there, looking really good. I can't wander into the polytunnel right now because the little gate is still closed. I'll move that in a second. But yeah, so we better get harvesting because the sunshine is not going to last long. Well, there's no sunshine left really. We're approaching the dusk. But these are growing nicely, picking up a yellow hue. It's interesting, they're nowhere near as big as last year's quinces. I'm just going to give this a sniff. Yeah, no real aroma yet. But they're nowhere near as big as last year's quinces, but there's a lot more of them. And yeah, they're getting along quite well. I'm not sure when we'll be picking them, but they tend to take a bit longer to ripen than your typical apples and pears and stuff. And yeah, where are we at? I can see some ripe fruit in the chili house, the greenhouse of chilies. Nice little reds down there, if you can see them. Some oranges. I'm a little worried by the lack of fruit and the lack of ripening we're seeing. But there's not much we can do about it. I just have to cross our fingers. I made a venison chili today and put the last of our big super hots in it from the other year. So we have some fingers crossed that these ones right in front of us here. Now, 7-pot Primo, I think, and Naga and other hot super hots will do us a good crop. Anyway, I should put my phone down and start picking the things I was talking about picking. We also need to grab a couple of things for our chili dinner tonight. We're going to make refried beans. So for that, I want to grab some of that coriander, some green chilies, a green capsicum from down there, and we have some of our very tiny onion crop on the table at the end of the polytunnel there. Right, time for me to crack on with those things then. This is where I find out how good the image stabilization on this phone is. That's 10 times zoom right there. But yeah, we have the moon to say hello to us as we prepare to leave after our brief trip down here. It's also just starting to spatter some rain on me. I'm standing in the, I guess we'll call it the pumpkin patch. And here's Long Boy Pumpkin. Has my foot next to it for a comparison. That's one hell of a butternut. But yeah, so the pumpkins are coming along. It looks like they're colouring up nicely and ripening. There's a couple more of those butternuts there, much smaller. There's a Queensland blue there. All the orange dots you might see occasionally in the shot are the uchikikuri, and there's darker Waltham butternuts. The what you call it? The long ones are Burgess. No, Waltham. Oh, I'll get this right one day. The long ones are Waltham butternuts, and the green ones, the dark green ones, are Burgess buttercups. Now, it doesn't look like I've done much to these pear trees, really, does it? Even in this low light. But from that one I was just looking at, I've harvested 15 pears. And from the other one I've got 9. So there's 9 pears there. 15 of this variety. We don't know what that variety is. But we know this is a Concord because it had its label on it still. Obviously some other bits and pieces have happened in the harvest. Usual collection of tomatoes. That's to go in my refried beans tonight. A green capsicum. Some onion. There's some gherkins buried under there. Tomatoes galore. I already mentioned them. And of course, zucchinis, which we can stick on the zucchini pile. We do have some beans happening, despite the fact our bean game was a bit late this year. And my bean support lacks structural integrity. I did manage to fix that up last time I was down here a bit, so I've just turned this into a couple of wigwams instead. And so far that's sort of staying up, kinda. But yeah, cool. It's getting dark. It gets dark too early now. It makes me sad. How long evenings of bright working light are going? They're gone, I reckon. I think gone is the right word there. Going's a bit optimistic. Anyway, it looks like these beans have benefited from their bit of cover, and nothing has got in there and ravaged them again. And well, we'll leave it at that. I still haven't done the previous week's video, let alone this week's, which I'd normally ideally try to do tonight. I don't even know I'll do the previous ones tonight because I've got a lot else going on. We shall see. The videos get done when the videos get done. And despite the rain, it's quite nice out here. Anyway, that'll do.